Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coffee Talks. This is Cara, I'm Michael, and we are here to discuss something slightly different today. If you've been following along, you'll know we chat training, nutrition, mindset, performance, all this sort of thing. Today is going to be a slightly different episode, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But one of the things I want to say is these coffee talks aren't, they're not for elite athletes, they're not for one type of person, they're for everyone. So if, like Cara, you are someone who plays sport professionally, fantastic. Hopefully these can help you. But if, like me, you train for health and longevity and that sort of thing, trust me, this is definitely for you as well. So with that said,
Episode 10.
episode 10, let's go.
We made it.
Yeah. I've not said anything to get us cancelled yet. I'm only joking. I'm not like that. Today is slightly different. If you have been kind of following the series, you'll know we have chatted about like building good habits, good practices, routines, stuff like this. We've talked about how to set yourself up for success, how not to set yourself up for success, and different bits and pieces like that. Recently, we launched a new program. It is a sport-specific program, kind of football-specific, really, and it's an off-season program. So what we wanted to do was chat a little bit about that in some more detail because a lot of people have asked a lot of questions, and so we kind of figured why not just tackle them all at once, and hopefully give you a better insight into what this program entails. And even future programs, what they'll kind of look and feel like as well.
Yeah. So we start off with why we wrote the program.
Yeah.
So off season can be like a bit of a weird time. It's very different for a lot of people in terms of the length of time that they'll have off between one season finishing and then pre-season beginning again. But it's typically, well, from my experience, it's been somewhere between like 4 and maybe 8 weeks. Some people's maybe a little bit longer if you're with like an amateur or a semi-professional club. So the reason why off-season is important and why we feel you should train within the off-season is to set yourself up for success then going into pre-season and into the season following that. If you were to take the entire time off, whatever it is, for 6-8 weeks or beyond, if you were to take that off completely and not do any sport specific training for when you're going to go back into your pre-season, then you're going to be setting yourself up for failure, setting yourself up for probably injury. You're probably going to break down pretty quickly with that intense period of pre-season. That's probably the most intense period of your training. So if you're going from nothing into the most intense period, then you're only setting yourself up for failure then going into pre-season.
Yeah. And I can certainly speak to that. I know whenever I played rugby competitively, I always did that thing where the season ended in May and you'd go away all summer and do absolutely nothing. And then as soon as pre-season started, every year without fail, it was quad injuries or hip injuries because you're then going into so much high-speed running and stuff like that. So yeah, as you say, like the regression of going from competing at whatever standard to doing absolutely nothing can be huge. So with that in mind, we'd obviously encourage you to kind of keep moving, keep training, keep doing all that good stuff. Something that Cara always mentions is when your season ends, take a rest.
Yeah.
Right. But don't overdo that. So take your rest, take your time out, go and enjoy yourself. And then let's get stuck into an off-season program. So you've kind of been the mastermind, I guess, behind the off-season program because it is more specific to football. Now, a lot of these principles will carry across multi-sport. But I guess we've kind of broken the program down into 2 4-week blocks. And the program kind of progresses and then changes at week 5. So do you want to chat a little bit about I guess, the setup of the first 4 weeks, and then we'll kind of chat about how it changes into 5 to 8.
Yeah, so it's a very similar format. It's only a slight tweak that comes in after the 4th week. So there are 5 sessions all together in each week throughout the 8 weeks. At the start, it goes from, it's 3 sessions in the gym and 2 sessions on the pitch. So your gym sessions are, one's like a day where it's a squat bias, the other one is a hinge bias. So you'll see a deadlift in that one, and then a squat variation on the other day. And then the third day is kind of focused on like power output and sprint mechanics, and trying to increase your ability to express peak forces. And then the 2 pitch sessions, one is a tempo-based running session, and then the other one is all-out sprinting, so linear speed. And then as we go through into weeks 5 through 8, then you'll get an additional running session. So you'll have those tempo runs still. Then you'll do some more intense kind of box to boxes with change of direction. And then the speed sessions will stay as well, but you'll also get some change of direction within that as well. And then your 2 gym sessions will kind of stay the same. There'll be that one with a squat bias and one with a hinge bias. We'll take out the that sort of power one where we're focusing on mechanics, but those will still be, you'll still be utilizing that skill set whenever you're in the pitch based session, and then also a little bit in those other 2 gym sessions.
Okay, if you've stuck with us so far, I want to go back even a bit further and break some of this down a little bit more, okay? Because we're using terms there that some people might have some sort of grasp over. But let's go with that kind of, you talked about like a squat bias and then like a hinge bias and stuff. What's the difference in those two? Where are we kind of like, what parts of our body are we training, or like what is it we're trying to get from that? What's the intent?
Yeah, so your hinge bias, you're hitting posterior chain, which is your glutes and your hamstrings. And then squat bias, you're looking at sort of more of that frontal plane. So you're kind of hitting a bit more quads, but also glutes in that as well. Okay, so all of the key muscle groups that you're going to need to become more powerful and to increase your output on the pitch.
Amazing, perfect. And then kind of looking at the like running sessions as well. What is a tempo run?
Yeah. So a tempo run is where we're not going to be working anywhere near sort of your maximum. You're all kind of in and around that sort of 70% effort range. So what we're trying to do is increase your base, something that's called your aerobic capacity. So that's you working at doing those longer efforts, more sustained, controlled paces, to see you through that 90 minutes. And then gradually we'll start to increase that more high intensity, high speed running, those sort of interval sprints, and those will come in the latter parts of the program. So you're building that foundation and that base first, and then we'll start to sprinkle in like those repeated sprints and everything that you'll see in a match setting. And then as you go into your pre-season, then your coach and your team should be starting to add more of that in as well, and we'll take the focus a little bit away from kind of that longer steady state movement.
Amazing. I know, because one of the things that I find really funny is whenever I would have been training in team sports, you'd have been told like go and run 5Ks through the summer. Mm-hmm. But like
at what pace? And
at what pace? Like, is there a rest period? Not really. So like those tempo runs, for example, are a really good way to just build a foundation and build, as you say, that kind of aerobic base that you can kind of, I guess, train for longer and stuff. Because when we go back into pre-season, a lot of it is you're just sprinting. So yeah, this stuff is really good, just to kind of build your base so that whenever you kind of link back up with your club and get stuck into pre-season, you're already at an advantage. And so I think we've kind of covered everything in there. Is there anything else from your point of view to kind of say? Or
I've tried to take like all of the most important bits, certainly that I've felt most beneficial in terms of the movements that I've included. Putting a lot of like jumping and landing in there as well, particularly from an injury prevention point of view. So a lot of the movements they're not complex, they are very simple, but they're the best sort of bang for your buck exercises that are going to get you as strong as possible, as powerful as possible, and try and eliminate sort of any weaknesses that you might have.
Nice. There is one other thing that I was thinking of there. You said right back at the start, there's 5 sessions per week. Okay, so for me, when I think playing at an amateur level, maybe working a full-time job, 5 sessions feels like a lot. So let's say you did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But in reality, they're not necessarily a couple of hours long each or anything. So how do they look in terms of time it would take to complete each session as well?
So the gym sessions, you're probably looking at 40 to 45 minutes maximum. That's including your warm-up. There's a warm-up included in each of them as well. It's not overly long, but it's just like those things that you need to do that are specific to that day to help get the body primed. So 45 minutes for your strength sessions. And then the pitch sessions are probably 20 to 30 minutes, again, including your warm-up. So those sprint sessions, they might look really short, but just make sure that you're taking the adequate rest periods within those as well. They're all described there, how long you should be resting for. So make sure you do those so that you're getting the correct intent out of it. If you wanted to as well, and you had a day where you wanted to do 2 sessions in the one day, that's totally fine. Just make sure it's not 2 gym sessions back to back. Make sure that you're doing a running session with a gym session, and try and do your running session first, and then take a little bit of a rest, refuel, and then do your gym session afterwards. So you could do them back to back.
Amazing. Perfect. As always, if you do have questions on the back of anything that we chat about, please send us a message, comment on the YouTube video, comment on the Instagram video. Don't leave anything unspoken, and no question is a stupid question. So hopefully that's kind of broken down the program really simply for you. To get the program, follow the links in any of these videos, so our bio or anything like that, or go straight to our website, themainstaymovement.co.uk. You'll find the program in our store. That's about it really.
In the store. Quick tip is that if you're on a mobile, we've figured out that there's a workaround for this. If you're purchasing it on your phone, whenever you add it to your cart, you'll be looking for the cart icon, and it won't appear until you turn your phone into landscape mode, and then you can see the cart icon. You can go through there, make your payment, and then it'll be sent to your email.
Once I become a better web designer, you'll not have to do that. But I'm a coach, and here we are. Thank you for joining us for another coffee talk. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep.